Do you think it's possible for a socialist to win in a general election?
I don't.
In this time, you don't?
Absolutely not.
Do you?
No.
Absolutely, I do. In fact, I think it's necessary to win this general election.
Lee Carter is a Virginia state politician and a Democratic socialist representing Virginia's 50th House District. Now, he had a big win in 2017 and was endorsed by the Democratic Socialist of America, and he's up for re-election again this year. And this week, MSNBC had him on to get his view on why democratic socialism might be the way to win elections. Watch.
You have won. Congrats on your primary victory, by the way.
Thank you so much.
You're in a purple state, and you have been openly, as a democratic socialist, running and winning. What have you learned in your sort of experience in what has been historically a swing state, that you think these candidates should know about?
Well, Virginia is a swing state, but my district up until me had been held by Republicans for over 40 years. My predecessor was a member of Republican Party leadership who had essentially unlimited corporate backing. He could have spent as much money as he possibly wanted. He had been winning with about 9,500 votes in my very small district for his entire career. And on Election Day of 2017, I was able to go out there and talk to thousands of working class folks who had checked out of Virginia politics for a very long time. And we got 11,366 people to the polls. It's by far the highest turnout for any Democrat in a House 50 race that we've seen in living memory. And this is the key. We have people by the millions in this country who have checked out of the political process. If none of the above were a candidate in the 2016 election, none of the above would have won 43 or 44 different states. So the strategy of leaning into that attack, of saying, if you're to the left of Barry Goldwater, they're going to call you Joseph Stalin anyway, and going out there and saying, yes, I'm a socialist. Here are the policies that are going to make your life better. We're going to put you in charge of your workplace. We're going to make sure that you have the freedom to live and work and not have to worry about how you're going to put food on the table, not have to worry about how you're going to make the rent or see a doctor or put your kids through college. You make that case forcefully to people who have not traditionally voted, and they will show up because they finally feel like they have a chance to make their lives better. That's how we'll beat Donald Trump.
All right, so I have to say, I am surprised, if not shocked, that MSNBC had Lee Carter on the show to discuss this, because he made the case right there. I mean, it's an ironclad case. You have all of these people who don't vote. All of these non-voters have felt disenfranchised, have felt just completely disillusioned with the entire process, with both parties. So you have someone like Lee Carter here laying out the path to victory. The path to victory is actually doing something bold, something different, actually listening to people and their needs and serving those needs. I mean, this should be obvious, but the reason why you've rarely heard voices like this on television is because television has an angle. They like the status quo. These massive corporations and these wealthy individuals that run these massive corporations make lots and lots of money off of the current system. They don't want it to change. So why would they have more Lee Carters on to promote something that's completely different and may challenge their power and their wealth? So he laid it out there, from the fact that he attracts non-voters. I mean, the idea that, just looking at 2016, Hillary Clinton lost on this typical platform that, Joe Biden's running on this standard politician, this corporate Democrat platform that the media still thinks can win. I mean, really, running to the center, or I should say running to the right, they still are trying to tell people that is a winning strategy, when we've seen it lose over and over again, whether it's with Hillary Clinton or whether it's the previous 8 years under Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi. The Democratic Party always capitulating to the right wing and continuing to lose elections, lost 1,000 seats over 8 years. So you look at that, you look at the policy, or the polling on policy issues, Medicare for all, minimum wage, paid family leave, higher taxes on the wealthy and large corporations, getting private money out of politics. All of these policies poll incredibly popular. And these are all parts of the Democratic Socialist platform. Also, the fact that you have somebody here who is in Virginia. He's in Virginia. He won a seat from a Republican, a deeply red district. He flipped that district with the Democratic Socialist message. So it's not just about, oh, sure, it may work, in Ocasio-Cortez's district, but it's not going to work anywhere else. Not true. Now, one more clip here, and that's the rebuttal somewhat from Adrienne Elrod, who's an MSNBC contributor. Here's what her response is.
When it comes to socialism versus capitalism, it makes a lot of Democrats, especially those moderate Democratic voters, very squeamish, and independent voters too, to even think about the notion of having some sort of socialist, system of government in place. And I think when it comes to Sanders' tactics, it makes a lot of sense for him to take this approach.
Do you think it's possible for a socialist to win in a general election?
I don't.
In this time, you don't?
Absolutely not.
Do you?
No.
Absolutely, I do. In fact, I think it's necessary to win this general election. What we saw in 2016 is that Donald Trump was going out there and correctly identifying that there were things wrong with the lives of working class people, and then giving an incorrect answer as to why that was. He was demonizing and otherizing people and saying, your life is getting worse because of folks that are coming into this country. So what we need to do is we need to go out there and tell them, yes, there is a problem in our economy, but it's not your friends and neighbors. It's not immigrants. It's not trans folks.
Right.
The problem is from the top, and we are going to fix that. And the question for folks who are opposed to Bernie Sanders is, do they want to beat Donald Trump or not? If they want to beat Donald Trump, they will support him.
There you go. Lee Carter, once again, is exactly right. And the only argument that Adrienne Elrod had, so look, it's a larger clip. You can watch the entire thing. I'll link to it below if you want. But the other part of her statement, she was talking about John Hickenlooper making the anti-democratic socialism speech. But her only actual argument was that it scares people. Oh, the word socialism scares those moderate voters. It scares some independents. But how'd that work out last time? I mean, again, Hillary Clinton, the Democratic Party for 8 years under Obama and Nancy Pelosi. They did the opposite, and they kept losing. You think at some point, maybe it's time to try something a little bit different. So these moderate voters that apparently are so many moderate Democratic voters, I really don't think there's that many. A lot of it, and a lot of the ones that do exist, I think a lot of those people are just uninformed or misinformed. So you have people voting for, say, Hillary Clinton in the primary in 2016 because they thought, only Hillary could win. No, a Democratic Socialist can't win. Or a lot of them didn't know who Bernie was. And not to mention, when we discuss the primary process, you have to understand a lot of people that wanted to vote for Bernie Sanders either were not registered to the Democratic Party. So in many states, if you were not registered to the actual Democratic Party, you cannot vote in the primary. So because Bernie appealed a lot to non-voters and independent voters, that also suppressed his vote in the primary. And it doesn't give you, that kind of primary process doesn't give you a realistic vision of what could possibly or potentially happen in the general, because you should be trying to attract independents and non-voters in the primary. That way you have an actual strong candidate that can win in the general. But since that wasn't the case in the primary process for when Hillary Clinton won, you got a weak candidate who couldn't even beat a clown in Donald Trump. So this new direction, to me, it just seems obvious. You have to go with democratic socialism. You have to address these issues, discuss these issues that people need help with. Healthcare, minimum wage, paid family leave, higher taxes on the rich, and getting private money out of politics, which affects all issues, not to mention climate change and a whole slew of other issues that people do care about. And the Democratic Party can focus on and actually address them and have a real platform in place in order to finally win.